we live?
Yeah, right,
Oh,
now
okay.
we are. Okay, yeah, just wanted to make sure. But we are live here, for another episode of Sports 5, episode 113. A lot to talk about. But this week we're gonna keep it more streamlined and focused on, um, just the World Baseball Classic and March Madness. So yeah, I mean, those are both really big events. We figured that with the NBA and NHL, it's kind of just like same old, same old. But we'll probably get back to that some more next week. We might talk about it a little bit later on in the episode. But yeah, I mean, the World Baseball Classic ended with Venezuela winning 3-2 in the championship, but semifinals, I mean, they were both like incredibly, especially the US versus the DR. I feel like there was a lot of hype around that game. People are considering that like the most talent on the field at any given baseball game. So even, myself, not like the hugest baseball fan, like I took the time to watch all of that. I really thought the DR was gonna win based on the way they were playing coming into that. But the US, like, I mean, it was a pitching duel, and like Paul Skeens was definitely up to the challenge, and he just like mowed down that order. Held them to one run basically on one homer from Junior Caminero. But I mean, like, just an incredible performance by Skeens. And the U.S., they hit back-to-back home runs in the fourth. Gunnar Henderson and Roman Anthony took the lead, and then they kind of just never really looked back. I mean, the relief pitching did their job at the end of the game as well. So I mean, yeah, it was like a little bit surprising, but I guess like the DR was kind of had their eyes set on like making some noise and knocking off the states, like because they were kind of doing that all tournament. And not really like a super underdog, but in against the US, I guess they kind of were, but they ended up falling short. And yeah, no, it was a really good win for the US. I think one other thing though was at the end of the game. I mean, the ball four was not called. It was a strike, but the ball was like clearly out of the zone, and that would have sent Tatis up to bat. And I think they had a runner already in scoring position or something like that. They would have had one more chance. But like, I mean, so that call was like, really bad. But at the same time, I feel like the DR, they had a lot of chances, and they had runners on base multiple times. They left the bases loaded. Aaron Judge like got to tease out on one of those like really long throws. But I mean, even other than that, like they just didn't take their chances when they had them. I think they left the bases loaded. One time they had runners, other times. So I feel like they had their chances to win. And I think the US, like, like I said, the pitching was really good. The hitting did enough as well. So really good win for the USA, like, to like move on to the championship game.
Well, I hear, that the DR might have gotten screwed a little bit by the umpire. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, I mean, you know, that's what I was saying. Like, I mean, that
Yeah,
that
but
ball
you're
four
you,
was it should not have been called a strike. Wait, no, it should have been called. Yeah, it should have been called a ball. It was called a strike. It was I think their nine hitter, and I forgot what exactly the situation was, but they were, I think, two outs. And yeah, I mean, they would have had. I guess they would have brought a runner on, and then they would have had like, a really good hitter in Tatis go up to the plate.
did they
And
have
just to
bases
end it,
loaded? Because if they had
I
bases
don't think it
loaded,
was
they would have.
bases loaded. I think it might have even been like bases empty, but it was just like, put somebody on.
Yeah.
Or yeah. I mean, it was just really controversial. So I mean, not the way you want to end a not the way you want to end a game. Yeah, it was Perdomo, the nine hitter. And yeah, that was the final out called strike. It was below the the strike zone. And yeah, I mean, Mason Miller. So yeah, they had a man on third base. That's what it was. Yeah, they had a man on third, and it was two outs. And Mason Miller was on there. But Perdomo didn't go after the pitch, but it didn't matter because they called it a strike. And it was clearly below the box. And I was just like, I mean, even though like obviously we're rooting for the US, it was just it was just I mean, it was just frustrating and like kind of sad that a game like that wouldn't like be decided in that way because it was really going down to the wire, and maybe it would have been different. But at the same time, I do feel like in that particular game, the U.S. was the better team, and I think that showed up over the course of the game. I think the DR had their chances to win it. They didn't. I think the U.S. did enough on the pitching mound to hold a very explosive and Dominican team to one run, and then they also hit two themselves. So I think they definitely did deserve the win, but the controversial call to end the game, like, yeah, that was brutal. I mean, that was just I don't know. I mean, I think this is why it's good that we're getting like ABS technology, so we don't have these kind of issues anymore. So I think that's starting this year in the MLB and the automated ball strike system. So so they could challenge those types of plays. But yeah, I mean, the DR also made some base running mistakes. So I mean, we'll see. Yeah. Unfortunately, though, for the U.S., I mean, like, it didn't end in a championship even after all of that, because I think a lot of people are considering that to be the clash of the Titans. And then Venezuela, they upset Japan, who won the tournament in 23. They upset Italy.
Venezuela, don't forget about us.
Exactly, exactly. I think a lot of people are kind of counting them out, and they showed that that was not going to be for the case because yeah, I mean, they did a really good job, honestly, like multiple upsets to get to the championship game. So I mean, there was, yeah, I mean, first of all, yeah, I mean, they beat Japan, they beat Italy, and then I mean, in the second semifinal, I think a lot of people thought Italy might end up making it because they also kind of had a little upset. I mean, they beat the U.S. in pool play, so I mean,
Yeah,
maybe some people thought they would go all the way, even though they were kind of a big underdog. But at the same time, like, I mean, yeah, Venezuela, they really pulled it off. And then against the U.S. Too. I mean, they ended up taking down the Stars and Stripes in the final. They had a 2-0 lead for most of the game, which was pretty impressive, I would say. So yeah, I mean, it was just a lot of good pitching. Some good hitting. There was big hits from Willier Abreu and Eugenio Suarez, who hit a two-run, basically the go-ahead double to get Venezuela into get them the lead. But after it was 2-0, I mean, the U.S. really changed the entire course of the game with one big swing from Bryce Harper, who was really struggling this tournament. And really struggling this tournament, but he had a 432-foot tying home run, over Venezuela reliever Andres Machado, and it kind of felt like, okay, like that kind of felt like the game was going to change because it was 2-0. They were getting them, starting to get the U.S. down to their last outs, and then it was a huge swing from Harper, and it was like, okay, we're back in this thing, and unfortunately after that, though, yeah, I mean, unfortunately after that, it didn't really work out because you know yeah, because Venezuela then hit they got the double from Suarez, and then Palencia ended up closing the game out for Venezuela on the mound, who's one of the best closers. So I mean, it was just, yeah, getting the final three outs against the United States. So I mean, it was just wow. I mean, just a lot of everything, like really good pitching, defense. They got the quality swings that they needed to, and they're able to take down the United States. So yeah, I don't know. Like, it was a really good win for them, but at the same time, the U.S. offense was just, they're kind of cold, like for most of the tournament, honestly, and especially in these big types of games. Like Aaron Judge was quiet. I mean, Harper was quiet all tournament until he hit that one. In their last 16 innings, 2 runs, all on solo home runs, and they had one hit on four before before Bryce Harper ended up getting through there. So it was just yeah, I mean, it was just a very quiet bats performance, I feel like, for the US multiple times. But at the same time, I think they had like their clutch moments. Their pitching was really good the entire tournament. And yeah, I mean, they didn't really have enough in the end. I feel like their offense could have been better. Besides Harper, they never got a runner past first base, so it was just like, it was just not quite good enough. But at the same time, like a huge win for Venezuela. I mean, obviously, like, they've been through a lot, but like, I mean, also, upsetting multiple teams and everything. So it's just pretty incredible.
Oh, absolutely, especially when you could go first of all, Aaron Judge is not beating the can't perform in big
I was
moments
gonna say, yeah, I was
allegations. It's
right.
it's like, come on at this point. It's not even like, oh, sometimes he doesn't do well. It's literally like
Like
every
every time he
single
doesn't do
time
well.
he's in a big moment, he can't do anything. And as a Yankee fan, that sucks.
Yeah,
Like he
100%. Like, yeah,
like he could break all these regular season home run records and whatever have you, but the second that he gets to the playoffs, it doesn't even matter. Nothing matters about the regular season once you're in the playoffs.
yeah. He's
You
like a
know,
huge playoff
regular
joker.
season merchant, regular
Exactly,
season
exactly.
merchant.
Like it's getting so tired. Yeah, it's getting so tiring to see that because like yeah, I mean he has like the regular season home run record. He had like 60 home runs and um I mean it's unfortunate like for sure. So at the same time like yeah, I mean, especially given like his history with the Yankees in the playoffs, like seeing him just struggle to hit home runs, deliver in clutch moments, even when other stars, like we saw Toronto, like what kind of run they made, like what Guerrero was doing, and then we saw what Judge was doing. And he had like one home run, and that was like his biggest moment. And the Yankees even made the World Series the year before that, and even then he had like a quiet playoff. So it was just like, you know, then yeah, even in this game too. I mean, like yeah, he didn't really like do a whole lot against and in the early games I think he hit a few home runs and stuff like that, but like again in the big moments he didn't deliver. He didn't deliver again. So it's just unfortunate because like we can't really like, you know what I mean? At some point it becomes like when is it gonna change, Because yeah, you know what I mean? Like it's gonna be like something over his head. So now like Aaron Judge like is like, he was like now like we'll focus on winning for the winning a championship for the Yankees, but like I feel like Yankees fans are like shaking their head like because like they probably know that's not gonna happen this year and like they're gonna fall short in the playoffs again and it's gonna be like the same old movie and like you know
Rinse
what I
and
mean?
repeat. We're like a
Yeah,
washing
like
machine. Rinse
I
and
know.
repeat.
Yeah, like I love the Yankees. Like they're great. They have a lot of fun players now. They have like Chisholm and the pitching was like really good. Like Schlittler and like Free. Like you know what I mean. They have like last year we saw kind of like the youngsters like deliver and but yeah, it's just like feels like it's probably not going to be that great, I
Nope.
guess. But I don't know. It's a long baseball season. You never know. But they did make the series a couple years ago. But to see, yeah, I mean, it just feels like we don't really know if they're gonna really do it. You know what I mean? Like it's just it probably won't, to be honest with you. So it's just like and then Aaron Judge is not gonna like change the reputation, I guess, basically. So yeah.
Well, yeah, and especially, people were drawing parallels when Aaron Judge was running out with the American flag
Oh my god.
compared to
I saw that Aaron
Aaron
Rodgers
Rodgers,
before he got
who ran
injured.
out of the Jets locker room with the American flag and said, "Never let anybody named Aaron carry the American flag ever again."
That's hilarious. Yeah. That's really funny. No, yeah. I mean, like, no, that is actually really funny. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. That is kind of what happened. So, at the same time, like, Aaron Judge, yeah. Well, he didn't deliver. He didn't change anything about his reputation. The U.S. lost after beating the Dominican Republic, and like I think was like the clash of the Titans, and then they lose to Venezuela, who's not a bad team at all. I mean, they have like a lot of stars. They have Suarez. They have Palencia. They have like really good good pitching. They have Jose Abreu, Ronald Acuna Jr. So they, Luis Arias, just to name a few of their, really good all-star MLB players. But just I think a lot of people just didn't think they were like quite on the same level as like the U.S. or Dominican or Japan, but they definitely proved that they were. And yeah, like congrats to them. Obviously, it would have been really nice to see the states win a title. But at the same time, like unfortunately, just didn't happen that way. So now they fell short in back-to-back WBCs because Japan won in 23 and in the championship too, and then the US and then Venezuela
So
obviously over them in 25. So
so
that's
how does it work with the WBC? Is it like once every 3 years, once every
I
four
think
years?
so. Yeah, I think it's once every 3 or 4 years.
Mm. Yeah, that I didn't know about because I was like, you know, why does
Oh,
baseball like start?
once every 3 years. Yeah, it's a triennial. It's
Hmm.
interesting.
I wonder
Yeah.
if that affects like the MLB schedule. I mean, I don't know. It's just you know.
I don't think so. I mean, I think like a lot of spring training's been going on, so a lot of them have been opting out of those games to play in this, which is more high intensity. But the MLB regular season is going to start, very soon. So I mean, like they've been getting ready for that, and spring training's still going on, so they're still playing, those games. To get prepared for the regular season. But the opening day is like a few days away at this point. So I mean, I'm very excited about that. Giants and Yankees are going to be starting the season in San Francisco. Very shortly on Wednesday. It's going to be the first. It's going to be the opener. Yankees versus Giants on the West Coast, and Thursday is going to be the opener basically for most of the teams around the league. So there's all that, and then yeah, we're off and running. So I mean, yeah, this is kind of like a good way to get people ready, but also have a really high level competition. Meanwhile, spring training, everybody's getting ready, playing games. All the good stuff, but yeah, we get officially underway on Wednesday. So I mean, Wednesday evening. So I mean, if there's that might be a good thing to watch if you're not doing anything opening night in the MLB, especially if you're a Yankees fan. Around this area, I mean, seeing your guys on the national stage for opening day, so that should be a fun one for sure.
Wouldn't it be nice to go see a Subway Series game one day?
Yeah, yeah. I can't wait for the Subway series. That's gonna be a lot of fun. But yeah, no, I
So I'm
mean,
just saying, like, wouldn't it be nice to see like Yankees Red Sox or Yankees Mets one day?
like just like for fun, you mean? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, definitely. And maybe we should go with the summer. I mean, it would be a good time, definitely. Yeah, I think this year they're having the Yankees like one of the Subway series on like towards like 9/11. I think it's yeah, or yeah, they're having one on to honor that basically. They're having that one of the series like one of the games on the 11th. But that's like way later. That's in the Bronx, and then the other one obviously they have two. They have one in City Field. The first one's in May, so I mean like yeah, I mean and of course there's plenty of Yankee Sox series all year long, but I don't know. We'll see what happens in the MLB this year. I mean like I don't know. Are the Dodgers gonna just like win the whole thing again, or like it just feels like they're just like inevitable. Like we
I
saw
don't want
Toronto
it,
put up the greatest opposition I think like I've ever seen, and they still lost. And like I just don't know what to make of it anymore. Like
but first of all, I don't want Yankees fans saying that the Dodgers ruined baseball because the Dodgers are just doing what the Yankees used to do
that's true.
by screwing the luxury tax and
Yeah,
buying every good, every good player on
every
the
good play.
market.
Yeah, literally. Yeah,
So like I don't want to hear that from Yankees fans, like, oh, the Dodgers ruined baseball. No, no. And in all honesty, the Yankees should go back to doing what the
yeah.
Dodgers are
I don't
doing.
know
Like
why
they
we
need to
don't. Honestly, like I mean, it's really disappointing. Like we had such a quiet off season too. Like let's but
it's because we're too worried about the bottom line. It's we have a businessman in charge, not a baseball fan. That's what I'm
yeah.
saying.
No,
Like
honestly, though, like,
George Steinbrenner was a baseball fan.
yeah,
Hal Steinbrenner, I think, is more worried about the profitability of the team rather than,
yeah, I agree.
winning championships.
Yeah, I don't know. This should be an interesting year for the Yankees. I mean, for sure, because I mean they have a lot of star power. They still have Judge and Stanton, all their guys. So then, they have Bednar, who's been like a really good closer. They have, Austin Wells. They still have, Garrett Cole's coming back from injury. That pitching staff I'm very excited about in particular because you have Cole, you have Schlittler, you have Bednar's a closer. You have Max Fried. So even though he was kind of inconsistent, but he was pretty good. So they have kind of like a pretty solid team, but it's just like I guess we just don't really know. Like, all those acquisitions that they got at the trade deadline are going to be here the whole season this year. So I'm excited to see what they could do. They still have Radon, but I don't know. We'll see how things go, I
Well,
guess.
they're still gonna
It's
make the
on
playoffs. I think
Rice.
there's no
Yeah,
scenario where
that
they don't make the
they
playoffs.
will, but like, you know what I mean? But they're a
But
fun
if they
team to
do
watch.
anything in the playoffs, is a different story.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, that we don't know, but like, yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Baseball season, it's like a marathon. So but I'm excited to get back to games. For that. But I guess with that being with that being discussed, I we should pivot over to the main headliner of this episode, which is March Madness. And yeah, first 2 days of March Madness are like seen as two of the greatest days in sports. And I think this year lived up to that largely. It was just buzzer beaters. There was a lot of fun, some chalk, but yeah, it was just really exciting from probably like literally the first game. TCU versus Ohio State to open things
Oh,
up. We ran.
first of all, what is the Big Ten doing? Like, come on.
Yeah. Because Ohio
Like,
State was trailing by a lot. Then they 39-24. Then they almost came back, but then they still fell short in the end, unfortunately. So TCU ended up defeating them. I thought Ohio State wasn't gonna come back, to be honest with you, but they did. Well, in terms of the Big Ten, I don't think it's fair to just say like what are they doing? Because like the top seats are holding their own. It's just like the other ones are kind of like Wisconsin falling short against High Point. Like I just feel like Wisconsin in March is just like they kind of make a run the Big Ten tournament, and then every year they fizzle out, fall short. And talking about High Point, Chase Johnston, like the three that he pulled from like the logo was like my goodness. It's just like every year
my
we see
God, that was
like
a
he
good
just
shot.
he just like pulled it, and then the game winner was his first two of the year. Which was even more even more nuts in my opinion. Like I was just like, yeah. The three that he just pulled from like mid court. Like, that guy just like ice cold, just shoots threes, and then he gets the ball, kind of on in transition, gets his first two of the season, and they win it, and they knock off the Badgers, who themselves have knocked off like 5 top 10 teams or something like that. They were like the big upset maker. So seeing them go down in the 5-12, which I feel like this is gonna happen. Like they lost to James Madison, they lost to like in the tournament. They've kind of been an early exit every year. So yeah, it's just they definitely didn't really deliver. They used to be like one of the top teams like back in the sport. Like they made the Final Four. They were like a really tough out, Sweet 16. But not like as of late, like Wisconsin's just been like, oof, like what are we doing? Like they lost to James Madison as a five again 2 years ago, and then last year they lost to wait, that was last year, right? Yeah, I think so. And then or the year before, and then last year they lost to BYU. Um, they were a 3 seed. They lost to a 6, and then this year they lost again as a 5. Yeah, this year they lost as a 5 to a 12 in High Point. But High Point, I think a lot of people kind of thought that they would maybe do something in the tournament like that, and get an upset like that. But just to see that go down was like, wow, like and that's like when Marsh really delivers, like those types of big upsets. And South Florida played Louisville pretty close too, but High Point definitely delivered the first shocker of the tournament. I would say for sure, because that's a team that can upset a lot of people as well. So it's very interesting to see them being the ones to get upset so quickly in March. Oh, it's weird. I think you might be muted or something.
Yeah, I don't know
Oh
exactly what
wait.
happened there.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Okay.
Um,
Yeah. But anyway, as you were saying about Wisconsin, like yeah, it's really disappointing because it feels like for them it's like maybe it's just like I feel like one thing that happens is a lot of times teams that win their conference tournament or like even have a good run, like it's like a different style of play. I feel like especially in the Big Ten, this happens a lot. Like Iowa, a couple years won the Big Ten tournament as well, and they lost to Richmond the first round. And I mean, the Big Ten, like they tend to struggle in March, but is it like maybe the style of play in the Big Ten that's a little different? Because I feel like Big Ten teams are really good at beating each other and stuff like that. And then March, like oftentimes it just does not work. And meanwhile in football, like sometimes that oftentimes it does work. So like nowadays, but in basketball, I feel like it oftentimes doesn't unless you're the most elite teams, and even then, like they fall short against the other elite teams. But in this case, like first round exits, early exits, like I don't know, like what's going on here?
I really wish I had a better idea, but I think maybe it could be that the Big Ten plays a little bit different style of basketball compared to other
Like these mid majors, I think
regions.
they play with a lot of high energy, like a lot of 3 pointers and things like that. Like, Wisconsin probably never saw like a team like High Point with like Chase Johnston, like, like the whole saying about like, a white boy in March who like is like a financial accountant, whatever, and like only shoots threes, like Jack Golke type player. Like, I mean, but even besides him, like I think maybe the pace of play, the tempo, all of that kind of stuff was just something very unusual for them. And it's not like they like got blown out or anything, but they lost to like a 12 seed in the first round again. And yeah,
Where's the kid from St. Peter's? What's he doing?
Doug Eater, yeah,
Yeah,
it's a
Doug
good
Eater.
question.
Where's Doug Eater? Maybe
Right.
Wisconsin should ask him if he has another couple weeks of
Mm,
eligibility.
yeah. Yeah. Anyway, I mean like but besides that point, I mean I think it just got more I think only got more shocking over the course of the day. And the was High Point, Wisconsin was like, whoa, but like Siena almost beating Duke was, I think that would have been, if they pulled that off, that would have been the most stunning one because Duke is the top overall seed in the tournament, and they were down by 11 at the half. They needed an incredible second half to come back and win. I mean, I really wish I got to see exactly how all this went down. Cam Boozer had 22, Caden 19. Siena just ran out of gas. I mean, they did not make a sub till very late in the game, and they still almost won the thing. And you could see that them getting like kind of just they missed dunks. They were just kind of getting tired, but they weren't able to sustain it. But I mean, my goodness, like I mean, it was just literally 5 players like played the entire like game for them almost like until like the last like the end of it. Like I don't know what was going on with their bench. They didn't trust them. They're injured, this and that. But like I mean, they like almost did it single handedly against the number top overall seed, and it's just like what is going on? Like, does that mean Duke is vulnerable, or does that mean they just took it lightly? I think a little bit of both, maybe. Like, I mean, I really was very comfortable in Duke being the top overall seed, especially in a 116 matchup. Like, it's just like I don't know, like what I mean. Now I'm like questioning like a lot of that, but it's just I don't know. Like I don't know exactly what happened, but Sienna played a really good game, obviously, and yeah, it's in some ways it's kind of unfortunate that they couldn't get it done. But if they did, like this isn't just a 1 seed. This is the number 1 overall seed in the tournament. A lot of people have them winning the entire thing, even in the Final Four that includes other really good number 1 seeds. And for this to be their first performance, like I don't know, like I'm like selfish, but like
Lackluster
I'm fed up with
performance.
Duke. Like I mean, every year I feel like they lose in March, and I'm just so tired of it. And this year, like coming out like this, like I mean, you know what I mean? Like when everybody thought they were gonna like wipe the floor, like it's just disappointing. They have to get it together, but I know they have the ability to do that because they've been playing elite basketball like all season long. So maybe just an off game, you win. The important thing is they got the job done, and now they play TCU tonight. So I mean, I
They
don't know.
probably went in there with a very lackluster attitude. Well, being
Probably. I
all
think
like,
even at
"Eh."
halftime, one of the players was like, "I thought this would be a cakewalk, but like, clearly not. And now we have to, like get, play from behind, and we'll be fine." But like, or something like that. And I was like, yeah. I mean, I guess so. So like, they probably took it too lightly. And that's the beauty of March, I guess. Like any team can beat any team, and it's not so much like college football. I feel like any team, especially a conference champion team, that's a team that wins games. They know how to play. So whatever it is, like you have
They
a
know
good
how to
performance.
win.
Yeah, exactly, and if you can do that, then, your shots are falling. I mean, like, what's stopping you? You know what I mean? So, like, things like that can happen. Now, for a full 40 minutes, it's still very hard to do that, as we saw, but it's definitely possible. One team, you get hot from 3, things like that happen, and suddenly you see, like, that's how a Siena can beat a Duke, or at least maybe, in this case, come very close. And Duke also had a really poor performance shooting the ball. They went 5 for 26 from 3, just abysmal. Siena, not too much greater, but more respectable, 9 for 26. So Duke was just not shooting the ball well, especially from downtown. But yeah, I mean, like, it was just kind of crazy. Like, I thought, like, I was, Wisconsin and High Point and Duke and Siena. I thought, like, I was getting the train back from the city, and I was just like, I did not expect that one to be the one that was, through every, like, I did not expect Siena to, like, be the team to, withstand. I don't think anybody did. Like, I mean, so that's just another example of, like, the magic of March, and anything can happen on any given day. And
I
yeah.
think
So
we
I mean,
I
like,
think we do have to have a post-mortem, though, for the LIU Sharks, who were brutally blown out by
yeah,
Arizona, 92
fins
to
up.
58.
Yeah. That's
Uh,
another fun thing about March. It's like seeing all these traditions from all these smaller schools, and, like, like the LIU, like the fins up thing that they do. That was, pretty memorable moment for to see, like, a team like LIU in the tournament. Hold their own. And then, speaking of blowouts, I
well,
mean,
they
we
didn't
had,
hold
like,
their own. They didn't hold their own.
oh
They
yeah, what
lost
am
by
I saying?
40.
They lost by 40. Yeah. I don't know. The fins up tradition, I thought, was like an interesting one. Yeah, they got blown out. I'd say Howard, for the first half, they hung around against Michigan pretty well. They were down by 4 going into the half, forcing a lot of turnovers, knocking down threes. But in the second half, Michigan just blew by them. Ended up winning 101 to 80. Another 100 piece. A Michigan State cruised. Vanderbilt won. Illinois knocked off Penn. So the top teams in the Big Ten, I think, overall did pretty good so far, but it's
Texas
only the
actually
first
took down
round.
BYU. We're not
Yeah, I
giving
saw
them
that. That
that,
was an
but
upset. From the first game to the first 4. We've seen that before, where a team went all the way for the first 4 to the final 4. I think it was UCLA back in the day.
yeah.
Yeah, they did that.
St. Louis took down Georgia. Always like to see
Yeah.
a smaller school win against an SEC school.
I know that's yeah. St. Louis is like a very respectable team. Obviously, for a mid major to get a 9, that means they obviously know what they're doing. So, like, they have Robbie Avila. I mean, they just beat Georgia. That game was not as close as it looked. They were up by more. They were winning the entire time, and Georgia's definitely like a fraudulent team. And I was like very happy to see
Houston,
like a good, yeah, like a good mid-major team get a big win over Georgia. They take on Michigan today, the Billikens, and then Texas over BYU. I mean, yeah, BYU, I think, was expected to be better because they have, AJ DeBonsa, who had a 35 piece in that game against the Longhorns, and they just didn't really have a lot else. But
yeah, but nobody else
yeah,
did anything.
exactly. So, yeah, unfortunately. So, St. Mary's lost to A&M. So I mean,
Houston destroyed Idaho.
yeah, yeah. 78 to 47. Yeah.
Oh, we're not talking about the best one, VCU.
VCU over. I know we skipped over that. VCU
Yeah,
over UNC, and that was a game where UNC was up by like most of the game too. And, right at the end, VCU made a comeback. They tied the game. I mean, first, overtime. They were like trailing and trailing and trailing, and they came back at the end behind 34 from Terrence Hill. They were done by 5, I think, in the final minute. They were able to send it to overtime, and then in overtime, hit some big shots. And they were able to get the dub. And yeah, I mean, that was I saw the final, the end of that overtime portion, and it was just nobody was scoring. Then VCU ended up scoring, and VCU is like a team where back in the day they were making March Madness runs, like and upsetting people, and it's been like a long time, but that's like one of those
that
names.
conference I feel
The
has a
A10.
reputation of the A10. Yeah, has a reputation of playing spoiler because
Yeah.
like Dayton, St. Louis is
Dayton,
in that
yeah.
conference.
Yeah,
Dayton has had its years. Rhode Island has had its years.
yeah.
You know, the
Even
Bonnies, St.
Loyola,
Bonaventure.
yeah, Loyola Chicago has definitely had their years for sure. So I mean, like,
Is St. Peter's in the A10?
no,
No.
yeah, like
They're-
Loyola making it to the Final Four, I believe, or did they make? I think so, or some or close to that. They've definitely had a lot of teams. Like VCU back in the day has had their moments. Dayton, yeah, it definitely, you know. So I mean, St. Louis this year is very good. So I mean, yeah, no, I mean,
I
like,
think George Mason even had 1 year.
yeah, they did. Yeah, George Mason, exactly. That's yeah. So that they've definitely been a conference that have made has made their moments in March for sure. But at the same time, I mean, yeah, they made the tournament like back in 2011 to 17. They made it every single year, and then you know, but yeah, I mean, overall,
Yeah.
like you know, a very solid, very big upset win over UNC. Which I think VCU is also in Virginia too, so it's an in-state. I believe an in-state upset as well, and I don't know. Someone who
No.
likes Duke who doesn't like
UNC's in
UNC.
Carolina.
Oh wait, what am I saying? I thought that was close enough. Dang, but like not entirely. No, Virginia and North Carolina. Why did I think they're in the same state? I don't know. That's weird. Anyway, but yeah, no, I think that was definitely the upset of the. Well, there's two. I mean, there's Wisconsin over. I mean, well, High Point over Wisconsin was one, and then VC over UNC was another one, and I guess yeah, someone who likes Duke, like I mean, that was a nice win to see UNC go down, and especially from an underdog like VCU to knock them off, and out. That
You
was
flip
really
flop
good
on
to
Duke
see.
though. You're like, oh, I like Duke. I'm tired of Duke. It's like
Yeah, it's like I feel like it's weird because like I don't know. I like Duke, and it's kind of like Ohio State football. Like most people, like probably 90% of people hate them because they're whatever, they're better, they're flashy, this and that. And then among their supporters, a lot of people get really tired of them really quickly because you know they like tend to choke in the postseason or lose at some point, and the expectations are like really high where it's like championship or bust. So for me, like in Duke, like it's kind of like that too, where I'm like, I like them. I know a lot of people don't. I do. But I'm just so tired of like the BS. Like I'm so tired of it, and I will turn on them like very, very quickly. Like if things go south, like I'm in that way, I'm a little selfish and unloyal, I guess, with the bandwagon teams because I'm just like, as it is, I have Rutgers, and second of all, like you're supposed to be doing like a lot better than what you are, and then like when it doesn't work out, like it's very, very, very
and you're
frustrating
not a
for
Duke
me.
fan, really.
I'm
You're
not like a
really
Duke fan. I think when I was younger, I used to like them. I don't know why, but I saw some like
because
highlight
they're good.
video. Yeah, they're always good. They're always fun. Their fans are crazy. I think all those things for someone who didn't really know much about college basketball lured me into them. So they've kind of just been my team to root for. You know, like in the tournament. I'm not really like actually a Duke fan per se, but I do like them. And yeah, hopefully this is the year. I have them winning the bracket, but now I'm like very, very worried. I'm excited to see them play TCU today and see how they can respond against because TCU that's a quality team right there. So they just beat Ohio State. I mean, that's a 9 seed looking for an upset. Maybe things are ripe. But maybe Duke will get back to their winning ways. So that should be a really good one at 5:15. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing that. And there's just certain teams that like you know are fun to root for. Like I mean, I guess Duke is like for me, I like them. Gonzaga is a team that like I feel like a lot of people like that you know because they're kind of like a mid major but not really, and they you know they tend to do well in March.
They're like a they're like a high major team in a mid major
Yeah,
conference.
that's basically what it is. But this year, the West Coast Conference got three in. So I mean, and Santa Clara lost. In nearly. Oh, we should talk about Santa Clara versus Kentucky because I know you're mainly spending time on Thursday, but yeah, I mean that game was nuts because I mean that was very close, and Santa Clara hit a three with like 2 seconds left, and then Kentucky answered with a buzzer beater in the last second from like nearly half
My
court and
God.
then first overtime and won the game, and I was just like whoa, like that was too much, like that was like the definition of March. And oh my god, like I mean that was yeah, great win for Kentucky. And only problem is like I'm kind of used to like the whole thing of Kentucky losing every year, and I kind of want to just like mock them for that again. Like even though this year it's like 7-10, whatever. But unfortunately that didn't happen. But like, oh well. But yeah, no, crazy sequence to end the game, and yeah, I mean that really that one was like probably the best game of the day that day, I would think, because I feel like overall yesterday was much more chalky than Friday or than Thursday. I mean, we mentioned Long Island getting demolished by Arizona. I mean, most of the higher seeds won. All the 9 seeds won this year for the first time, I think, in a long time. Utah State upset Villanova. Iowa took down Clemson. Clemson was kind of hanging around for a while. The Iowa was like just a little bit, they were behind Bennett Sturs. They were able to hold them off. St. John's won. They were dominant. A lot of domination. Miami of Ohio lost. Unfortunately, to Tennessee. They got kind of blown out by 22. So, but that doesn't, to me, that doesn't discredit the year that they had, like winning 31 games in going undefeated. Winning I didn't win their conference tournament, but still the season they had was just still incredible. Obviously, yeah, I mean, against high major teams it's a little different, but they still beat SMU in the first four. They still had a fantastic season. So I don't want to hear like people saying like, oh, this shows that they don't deserve it and they shouldn't be here and like all this nonsense, because that's just not really the case. I mean, look how many blowouts we've had in this tournament, and like,
Wait, which team are you talking about?
Miami of Ohio, the Red Hawks.
Oh God, come on! Like they earned their spot by winning
Yeah.
the freaking um.
And yeah,
Come
I mean they
on,
beat SMU in the play-in tournament
they
and
beat
everything
SMU in
too
the play-in. Like my
in the
God, what
first
else do
four.
you want, people?
Right? I mean, were people really thinking they're supposed to like start now knocking off all the
Luckily,
higher
I
seeded
haven't
teams? And
heard somebody
yeah,
who's
I
like,
feel like the discourse has been pretty fair, like for the most part, surrounding them. And
first of
well,
all,
I think
they should not have lost to UMass. UMass is not a
I
good
know.
team.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah. I was worried because of that they wouldn't get into the tournament. Thank God they did. But I think there's two things that could be true here. I mean, I think, yeah, I mean, they had a great season. They had a great run. Mid-major teams, like, they should definitely be scheduled by high majors, like, things like that. Like, I know why, like, they don't want to do it. And, but that just shows that they're worried about the risk. And, like, you know what I mean? That kind of just proves the whole point.
honestly, from a high major point of view, I think you should be scheduling mid majors, and
Especially good
especially
ones.
if you're a rebuilding high major team like that one. You know, I
Yeah.
think we should be
I
scheduling mid
mean, I would,
majors. No,
yeah.
no, hear me out. Hear me out. Right? Hear me out.
Okay.
I think we should be scheduling all these mid majors because first of all, as a rebuilding power conference team or high major team, think about it. We went to Vegas
Mm-hmm.
and got, our underwear pulled over our heads, essentially. You
Yeah,
know, we
right.
went to,
By that same Tennessee team, too.
yeah, we went to Seton Hall, who was an average high major team,
Right.
and got ran out the building,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Imagine if instead of like scheduling those 4 games against high major opponents, we scheduled 4 mid majors.
Yeah, but
That's
we
probably an easy like 3-1.
I know, but our entire non-conference other than those games are mid-majors or low majors. Like, you know what I
Right.
mean?
But if you remember what Steve Peichel did to rebuild the program when he first started back in the 2010s, he didn't schedule any power teams outside of Seton Hall for those first games because we needed wins. We needed wins.
That's
You
true.
know, we needed to have better records and we needed wins. So I feel like if it worked then, it would work now.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I feel like I kind of like disagree and like agree and disagree. I feel like the teams that really should not be afraid to schedule the mid majors are the good quality NCAA tournament high major teams. And I feel like those are the ones that are ducking them even more for some reason. Because I feel like if you're really that good, like you should welcome the challenge. And, first of all, it's like if it's really a good mid major team, that's a quality game on your schedule, or at least somewhat. Second of all, you should beat them. And third of all, like, like it's more evens the playing field. And if you're really that good, you should either be able to win the game or stomach the loss. So I feel like that's kind of where the issue is for me. Like now, if you're a rebuilding team, you're kind of playing with fire by doing that a little bit too much for my liking. But at the same time, it doesn't hurt to schedule like one or two of them. Like I would say, like to kind of see where your competition really is, I guess. And I don't know, you know what I mean? Like maybe some local mid majors, like things like that, or like whatever, it's a quality game. And the top mid majors should also be playing each other. I feel like Miami Ohio kind of didn't really even do that in their non-conference. They played like a lot of scrubs. And when things kind of hit the fan, I mean, I think two things could be true. They had a really good season. They deserved to be in the tournament. At the same time, they really weren't like all that great. Like of a team, like that was supposed that was going to really make a deep run. And I think the Tennessee like game really exposed kind of where they really were in the pecking order. And because Tennessee's a good team, but they're still a sixth seed. They've still lost a lot of games in the SEC, and still they like absolutely blitzed the Red Hawks. So I mean, I think two things could be true. I think we can appreciate Miami Ohio for what it's worth, which is it's really good. But at the same time, like yeah, there's levels to this, and that's not to say that you know
There's
what I mean.
levels to this, kid.
There's levels to this. Like it's all relative, but um and yeah, I mean, and Miami Ohio still beat SMU in the first four, and they're still, a good team and everything. But at this point, like, we're starting to ramp up, I guess, in competition a bit. So, yeah, I mean, I think both things could be true at the same time. I think shifting over to the later games, UCLA holding off UCF, that one kind of got dicey at the end. Even though it really shouldn't have been, but like, I mean, they kind of put themselves in a position where UCF had like a shot at it, but they missed a three, then free throws. And I think UCLA is a team out of the Big Ten that can make some noise, like as a relatively lower seed.
I don't know about that.
Maybe not. I don't
I'm
know.
not
I feel like
sold.
maybe. Potentially, I don't know. I don't really trust like in Iowa, or I don't know. But even these two like teams, they barely kind of hung on. I don't know. I feel like the top of the Big Ten is definitely where the meat is. Like this year, like Michigan State, Nebraska. I
I don't
don't
even know
know.
about Michigan State, to be honest with you. I'm like not
Yeah,
sold on
that's true.
any
They
of
beat
them.
NDSU, but I mean, like like,
The
yeah.
only one I'm sold on is Michigan. That's the only one that
Michigan
I
like
think.
is looks very legit as a one.
Maybe even Nebraska.
Maybe
Maybe.
Purdue like had a good. They beat Michigan in the Big Ten title. They look like they might be all right this year. Like I mean, but I don't know. It's Purdue, like so like you can't really trust them too much in March, I guess, is as the saying goes. But we'll see.
Yeah.
I guess another humiliating one, probably the worst game of the day was Florida versus Prairie View, and this one, Florida just ran them out of the gym. Like this was 60-21 at halftime. They're actually tied at 15, and they just could not match their size. They were dunking all over them, dominating in the paint.
Oh my
And
god.
yeah,
Poor
114 to
poor
55.
Prairie View.
Yeah, their coach was
Poor
just like, we might
Prairie
need some
View.
help from the Lord to like stop this team and stuff. It was just it got really bad. Like I don't even know. Like yeah, I mean,
Oh Lord.
because even if Prairie View doubled their score, they still would have lost that game. Like that's how bad it was. Like they would have lost
Yeah.
it by four. Oh
And
well,
shame on you, Florida, for going for the style points. Like, come on.
right? Like do you really had to run that out. I guess after like what happened with Duke around with it, like you know, 'cause seeing what happened with the other one, also like weaker than national champions. Oh, looks like Florida as the defending national champs. I mean, they're ready to roll. So yeah, they're definitely they have their title defense. On route basically. So that's a good way to start it. Obviously, competition's going to get much tougher than what they saw in the first round. But out of the four ones, I mean, which one do you think looks the most like impressive? Like Florida, Arizona, Duke, or Michigan?
First of all, I just want to point this out. The leading scorer for Prairie View in that game had 4 points.
No, I'm seeing someone has 12, 16.
I'm going to the top performers. Oh yeah, why did because he had 8 rebounds. Okay, that's why.
Uh,
I was like, "Why is he listed as the top performer?" Oh, because he had 8
8
freaking
rebounds.
rebounds.
Oh yeah, that's what it was. Yeah.
Um,
They just got bullied. Like they got completely bullied in the paint. It was just like it got really really out of
I
hand.
would
I mean, they could not shoot the ball well. They yeah, at all from anywhere. I mean, Florida was shooting very well, and they got out rebounded 47-17. Points in the paint 64-10. It was just like mind blowing. Like honestly, like what was going on over there.
yeah, honestly, I think Michigan probably looks the best, right?
They maybe. I mean, I was gonna say I would say Duke because they beat them, but after seeing what they did the other day, like I'm starting to question
I
everything
would say
about
Michigan probably looks the best because I think Howard is probably a much
them.
better team than both LIU and Prairie View,
I think
you
so.
know?
Like the way they were playing, they were like feisty. They were making shots. They were getting turnovers, and then Michigan put them
No,
to bed
I
pretty
think just
easily.
overall that Howard is a much better team, just overall.
Yeah, I think so too. Like, I mean, I think it showed up the way they were playing against Michigan that they looked like very, very, they looked very solid. And then Prairie View just didn't. And but then Michigan still put them to bed pretty easily in the second half. So I mean, like, yeah, I think Michigan might look the best. I mean, like I said, I would have said Duke if they didn't show up the way they did there. Arizona also looks very good. So does Florida, but I feel like they also played two of the easier teams.
I think
Um,
everybody except for Duke looks really good.
The other
That's
three ones look pretty good this year, I guess. And maybe Duke just had a one off. I think we'll find out more today when they play TCU. But I don't know. I feel like it could still be a Final Four year, or it could be an early exit. I just don't really know what to make of them. But
or maybe
after that first one,
TCU will punch him in the mouth.
maybe I don't know. I'm thinking that might happen. It might happen. We'll see.
Who does
Yeah.
High Point got? Because that's who I'm going for the
High
rest of the
Point is
tournament.
now gonna take on Arkansas. And the nightcap
Ooh,
tonight.
okay.
Coach Cal and Arkansas.
Arky, okay.
Yeah, Arky's like very interesting team. Well, they won the SEC championship over Vanderbilt. They stopped Ole Miss's improbable run to the championship after they just had a abysmal season in conference
Man,
over
that would have been
Illinois.
so much fun. That would have been so fun to see Ole
I
Miss
know,
make the
right? It would have
tournament.
been like NC State, like 2.0 basically, but oh
Yeah,
well.
that would have
Yeah,
been
I don't know. I don't really like Arkansas too much for some reason. I don't know why, but like hopefully High Point wins, I guess. But I guess I have to remember that it's not Kentucky. So then I might be okay. But like it's just Coach Cal. But like yeah, I mean they're a good team. I guess they beat St. John's last year. Um,
yeah.
so like yeah, let's. I mean I guess the last thing I kind of wanted to do was going through these games. And I'm going through these second round games, and you maybe can end with some, like with Rutgers making the crown. But I wanted to just run through our schedule here for
Sure.
today and tomorrow. I mean, so St. Louis versus Michigan is the first game at literally in an hour from now. That's I don't know. I guess that if you're saying Michigan's like the top team, we'll get to see how good they really are because now St. Louis is a team that just blew Georgia off the court and they're definitely going to be ready for the challenge against the number one. Probably one of the top, if not the top mid major left in this field. That should be a fun one. I mean, Louisville versus Michigan State. See, this is when the second round, like the first round is very appetizing. The second round, you start to get like a really good mix of quality and
Who's ready
quantity.
for a dog fight?
Like
Louisville
that one
versus
should be a
Michigan.
really good game. Like that's a 6 seed versus a three. Both of them coming off their first wins. I mean, like, yeah, that should be a really good game. And then of course, like I mentioned, start the early evening, Duke versus TCU. We'll see if Duke can kind of rebound from their misfirings and because they're gonna need to now going against the TCU team who just took down the Buckeyes. And then Texas A&M versus Houston, a little in-state action this time. I got that one right, but like yeah, I mean Cougars are a very very strong team. The Aggies knocking off St. Mary's in the first, but I feel like a couple years ago we had like Texas versus A&M in March Madness if I remember that correctly. So
We did, we did.
you did, right? Yeah. So this year, I mean, A&M, Houston. Then we have Texas taking on Gonzaga. Gonzaga is again always a fun team, and I think they have like a really long like Sweet 16 streak or something that's still going on. So we'll see if that that Mark Few can get them back into that for another year.
It's not Gonzaga, it's
And
Gonzaga.
yeah, the Zags, but I feel like they've had the most like success in March Madness without winning a championship. Like I think that one year they made the final and they lost to Baylor, but they've just been like snake bitten. I feel like in the later rounds too, like in a way, or maybe not
Oh,
snake
for
bitten, but
sure.
yeah, they've just
For
fallen short.
sure.
They've fallen short like a million times, and it's like damn, but it's not like Duke level frustration, but like it's just like yeah, they're always kind of there, but like not good enough to like win it all, or they fall short, but they're always like
Always the
in the mix.
bridesmaid, never the bride.
Yeah, it's like Penn State football, I guess. Or yeah, I just
Take a
had to do
shot at him.
that. Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes Ohio State feels like it, but at least they have gotten over the hump. So yeah, it's definitely Penn State football there.
Oh,
VCU taking on Illinois in the next in the at 7:50. So
just go
it's always
Rams.
yeah, it's always fun because it's like you have like a lot of quality in the second round already. And then you also have like, the few double digit seeds that made it out of the first round taking on like your higher seed. So Illinois, yeah, out of the Big Ten, a lot of people had them making a deep run in March and they look to be a pretty solid team, honestly. But yeah, we'll see if the Rams can make an upset. Vanderbilt taking on Nebraska. Nebraska had a huge breakout year this year in the Big Ten and
They
won their first
finally
tournament
won
game
their first NCAA
in program
tournament game.
history. Yeah, unreal.
Yes.
Yeah, and I
Unreal.
feel like Vanderbilt is kind of like the same in the SEC. Like they've also not really been. I don't even know when the last time they made the tournament was. Like they haven't really been in on the basketball
I
scene
think they've
in a
been
while.
decent.
They've been decent, I think. I don't know if they've been great, but this year they were very good. So now we have a like a very attractive like 5 versus 4 matchup in the second round already, which is that's a lot of fun. I mean the fives versus the fours that yeah. So yeah, I mean Vanderbilt both in football and basketball. I feel like kind of coming onto the scene there. Nebraska now coming on in basketball. That should be a very good one. And then High Point versus Arkansas. We'll see if the spoilers could keep dancing against a Razorbacks team, who has also made some noise in the SEC. So I mean, I feel like that should be a good one. We'll see how these double-digit seeds do tomorrow, or tonight, and then I guess going on into Sunday's action. Because this one's a little bit more chalky because we had just straight wins by the higher seeds yesterday. Purdue taking on Miami, Florida, not Ohio, but that should be an interesting. Miami, Florida has also had a pretty good season this year in basketball overall. So I mean, should be interesting. I think Purdue is definitely the better team. Iowa State has been like really really good this year. Um, number 2 seeded team there against Kentucky. The Kentucky's I think made it out of their first second round visit in like years because they've been like messing up in the first round like every year it feels like. St. John's taking on Kansas. That's gonna be a very good
Ooh.
game. Ooh man, like I mean we're getting treated in the second round. Like I mean St. John's versus Kansas. Like I mean, are you kidding me? Like I mean that's gonna be very.
That's just two heavyweights going at it right
That's like
there.
that's like a Sweet 16 like game. You know what I mean?
Yes. Give me
Yeah,
the Johnnies.
yeah. I mean, that's New York's team right now. So I mean, like, yeah, definitely will be pulling for them. Tennessee versus Virginia. Virginia escaped a tough one against Wright State. I think Wright State was like leading that at halftime. So Virginia also getting out of the first round for the first time since they won the championship.
Wait, wait, who?
Oh, the Virginia versus Tennessee
Oh, versus Wright State. Okay.
versus Wright
Yeah,
State.
Wright
Yeah.
State was leading at halftime.
Yeah, I thought they might even beat them too, but they didn't. But no, I mean, yeah, Virginia, second best team in the ACC. They narrowly lost the ACC championship to Duke, and they won 30-5 this year. So that's a very quality team. And
I
Tennessee,
like the
though,
Cavs. I won't lie. I like the Cavs.
yeah, but I don't know. I feel like Tennessee might beat them, like the way they've been playing. To be honest with you, so we'll
No, it
see.
could be. I just hope it doesn't because, like I said,
You like them? Yeah, they're like a fun team, I guess. And they won the championship in 18. Iowa taking on Florida. So now, this is kind of where your ones take on like, the 1 versus 9 matchups. That's an interesting one because now Gators have a much tougher challenge, but I think given, I think they're still gonna blow by Iowa. Like Iowa doesn't tend to score like a ton. That's not true, but I mean, I think Florida will beat them, but it'll be a much closer game, like maybe
Iowa's
20.
not bad, but they're
They're
not
not
going to
bad,
be.
yeah. They're not bad, but I feel like their game against Clemson was kind of low scoring. It was like 67-61, but they're not bad. But Florida's like a whole nother level. Like for some reason, I thought they were a little. I kind of thought they were a little fraudulent too, because like the way they lost to Vanderbilt. But then I don't know. I think the way they played yesterday, I think they're very much in this thing. It's going to be a very chalky. I feel like these four. I think these four one seeds. I think all have the chance to do damage and make deep runs in this. And now I'm like questioning that a little bit because of Duke. But like, I mean, even still, like I think at least three of the four one seeds I think could make a deep run. Maybe even all four of them. We'll see if they all end up in the final four again. But yeah, I mean, it's also been a good year for the nine seeds. I mean, Utah State now taking on Arizona after knocking out Villanova, who made the tournament for the first time in a while. I think the Wildcats, that's a team that I have going all the way to play Duke in the championship. I think that's a very real team. So I think Arizona's going to win that.
I don't think Duke's making the championship. I
I don't think
don't.
now I'm like questioning all of this, like, but like that was like when I did the bracket, I was like really confident. I was like, they beat Michigan, who's also a one seed. They won the ACC. They barely lost any games all year. Like who's stopping this team? Like, you know what I mean? Like kind of thing. So,
I'll
yeah,
tell you who's stopping this team.
TC.
TCU.
Watch them like lose today. Like it's gonna be so sad.
I'll
But
tell you, it's TCU's stopping them. I don't
fair
care.
enough.
It's gonna
Yeah.
happen.
And now I have much more confidence in like Arizona and like these other. Arizona looks really good, by the way.
I don't
So
know why, but I have faith in St. John's for some reason.
St. John's should not be a five seed. Like they were criminally underseeded. Like they beat UConn twice. They won the Big East, and yet they were shipped off to California as a five seed in the crowded region. That East region, by the way, has like is Duke, UConn, MSU, Kansas, and St. John's, and now two of them are already going at it. So, yeah, I mean, it's interesting, right? So, yeah. Speaking of that East region, or wait, did I say this right? I don't know, but St. John's is in like a super crowded, competitive region. But then you also have UConn taking on UCLA, and that should be a really fun one too. That one's in Philadelphia. I mean, UCLA could make some noise as a lower seed. UConn, I don't know, they haven't looked super impressive. I mean, they put away Furman, but they're still a very quality team, so that should be a good game as well. And then finally, to end us off here, we have Texas Tech taking on Alabama in the second round as well. So I mean that should be a good one. That's a 5 versus 4 Big 12 versus SEC matchup there. I don't know. I feel like it's like kind of geographical, but like not really. But yeah, I mean, like a lot of 5 versus 4 matchups already in the second round. We see 4 9v1s because all the nines beat the eights, and then we have those. We have those couple of like underdog teams who busted brackets now taking on like a 3 or a 4. So and then we have 7s versus 2s, 3s versus 6s. So I feel like we kind of have we have a lot of quality matchups for the second round, like 7v2, 3v6, 5v4 is definitely very quality, and a couple of double digit seeds in there who made some first round upsets as well. We'll see if they can keep their runs going.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I definitely would like to see because like everyone's like, oh, upsets are dead. Whatever. I hope they're not. You know, I want to see a good run to at least the Sweet 16.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we want to see at least one every year, like at least one like double digit seed get to the
Yeah,
Sweet
because everybody's like, oh, with NIL, it's gonna kill the tournament, and it's gonna, well, like, yeah, probably. I mean, I don't know, like, because first of all, everyone's like, oh, the players used to get like scholarships, and that used to be enough, but like,
Right,
these
right.
universities would make millions and millions
I
on
agree.
those athletes, and way more than what their scholarship is worth.
Yeah,
So
100%.
obviously, I gotta support it in that sense, but also
Right.
like a little bit of the love of the game has been lost, and that sucks.
Yeah, yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I mean, no, I think so. I think it's like both things could again like both things could be true. I know you kind of said this earlier, but I think it's good to have one like or two like one run is good, but it doesn't really dilute the tournament because both of first of all like those teams they beat like a higher seed. So the higher seed that you want, like they beat them. And second of all, that's only like, I mean, looking at this, there's only two like 11 and 12s like left in this thing, like only two. And after all the craziness we saw the last couple of days, all we have left is VCU and High Point. And oh, we also have Texas, who also beat BYU. But I don't know. I don't really see them as like the same type of Cinderella. But they did win the first four. They beat BYU. So okay, we have Texas double digit seed. We have A&M double digit. Although 10/7 isn't like that rare, honestly, and they're probably gonna lose too. Then we have VCU and you have High Point, and probably both of those are going to lose too in this round. So like after this, it's going to be all chalk. Like we're going to get all the Sweet 16, all the power conference heavyweight matchups that we could ever ask for coming up. We already have a lot of them this round, so you know what I mean. And yeah, God forbid if one of those teams slips into the Sweet 16, like so be it, right? Like first of all, they're probably going to lose.
Yeah,
Second of all, like it's going to be fun, and like third of all, we have all the quality matchups that you could ever ask for. So like it's fun. The first few rounds are exciting because there's a lot of upsets, and the later rounds are exciting because there's a lot of quality basketball. And like that's the beauty of this tournament. Every week feels a little different. The first week is like so much basketball and all these teams and all these storylines, and then by the time you get to Sweet 16, it's like you get really really good matchups, and then Final Four is just like the best of the best. So it's like every week kind of gives you a different flavor of basketball, of college basketball. This is like the abundance week, but we were already getting to like quality in the second round. Then the Sweet 16 Elite Eight is like really high quality matchups, but still enough volume. Final Four is kind of it's low volume, but really good matchups deciding the championship, all that good stuff. So each week's a different flavor, but yeah, I mean, if yeah, I mean, it's fun to see some upsets, and if one like double digit seed sneaks into the Sweet 16, so be it. And we're still going to get a lot of those matchups that everybody's going to crave. So it absolutely doesn't ruin the tournament. In fact, I would argue that it makes the tournament more fun and enjoyable, and it doesn't take away from all the quality matchups that we want to see anyway.
absolutely. I mean, I think I to knock down an opponent like that, I would absolutely say it doesn't really
Right.
take away from the enjoyment. I think it adds to it, honestly.
Yeah, I think it adds to it. And honestly, if you beat a really good opponent, then you should be there. Like, like just
Oh
because
yeah,
it's a big brand.
absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. So
You
I
win,
mean,
you should go.
yeah,
Like,
it adds to the excitement. And if you beat a big brand and you're a mid-major or you're a lower level power conference, not as big of a brand, but you make it over them, then that's what it is. You know what I mean? And like,
you earned your spot. There's no,
exactly.
yeah.
There's no like ifs or buts about that. No, I get the allure of like having like all like big brands, but most of the time that happens anyway. So like you know what I mean. Like if like I said, if one like or two like you know what I mean. If one upset happens and you see like one of those teams in the Sweet 16, like like it is what it is. Like they deserved it, and it's they're they deserved it. They beat some really good teams to get there, and the rest is chalk, and it's still fine, and it's still a lot of fun. You still get all the heavyweight fights you want to see. So it's like it's really like not a big deal. Like and in fact, like you said, it makes it more fun and enjoyable in the process too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So anyway, I mean, yeah. Well, and this year, the way this year's shaping out, I think we're gonna get a lot of chalk. Honestly, like I really don't see any of these deeper runs happening. I'm not gonna rule it out entirely, but I don't know. We'll see what happens. I mean, maybe High
Come
Point or
on,
A&M can win.
VCU.
I'm hoping it's VCU or even High Point as well. We're probably gonna get one more stunner, but I think after that, it's probably gonna be chalk. So we'll see what happens. Yeah, we'll see what happens. But in the meantime, I mean, I don't know. I guess just before we wrap up, I mean, do you have any thoughts on like Rutgers making the crown in Las Vegas? Because
First of all, I'm gonna hijack the pod for just 1 second. Just wanted to point out that Rutgers women's gymnastics
oh yeah,
won session
I
one
did see that.
of the Big Ten championship. So shout out to them. Very cool. Hopefully they make the
Yeah,
NCAA tournament for the second year in a row. But my
yeah,
thoughts on Rutgers basketball making the crown. Initially, I was like, eh, you know, like, what is the point of this? But now I'm like,
right,
okay, you know what? They play for a little money, they want to stick around. Maybe it means something that they want to keep playing together. And my
yeah,
biggest thing is that it's not like a bowl game where you have to pay to go there. This
right.
is,
You get money.
The
It's an NIL
all
thing, I think.
expense paid, everything like that, you know. So I don't see the downside. The only worry is like, is it going to take away from the portal preparations? It could, but if they go in there, they have to win at least 2 games to make the necessary NIL money for me to think
Mm,
that it's going to be worth it.
I see.
Or
I mean,
no,
that's
maybe 1 game. 1 game, I would
yeah.
say.
I forgot how exactly how much you get paid for. I think you get paid for going to it, and then
You
more
get
for
paid 25,000 for going, 50,000 for 1 game, 100,000 for winning two. No, sorry, 200,000 for winning 2 games, and then 300,000 for winning three.
nice. Mm. Yeah, I mean the crown's interesting because it's not really like an NCAA like say, yeah, I mean, it's not like one of the main tournaments, like, any like it's like a big conference, like all the teams that kind of weren't really that good, they kind of got into it. So we might see Minnesota again because they're gonna be there as well, and then you have like Stanford, West Virginia, and Creighton, and Oklahoma and Colorado. So it's kind of like it doesn't really like matter in the long run, but it's a lot of fun, and for the teams who get to play, and yeah, NIL is on the line, and like I feel like it'll be pretty exciting, and it'll be a way for Rutgers to play into April, I guess. Like not
And
really the same
plus,
thing, but
gives us a little bit more money,
yeah,
which
I mean the NIL. We've seen like the Vegas tournaments and like the NIL from that, but just a way for Rutgers to participate in that is exciting. It's more basketball, right? And like a lot of these guys are going to be back next year, and it'll be fun to see. And like Creighton, that's a team that's made the tournament in the past, and they haven't. So I don't know. I think it should be a good time, but it's a late tip. I mean, like 10:30 p.m. game on Thursday evening on April 2nd. It's like.
well, you know who will be up covering that game?
You
Me.
will, yeah. Yeah, it should be fun. I'm gonna try to see if I can watch that. But yeah, and then we semifinals and on Saturday and whatnot. So championship on Monday. So should be a good time. But in the meantime, I mean, I think this has been another episode of Sports Vibe. Definitely a lot of March Madness and WBC talk. Next week I think we keep the show on the road, but obviously maybe pivot towards NBA and NHL again. I think this week is just kind of a lot of March Madness, but yeah, definitely enjoy the hoops hysteria and everything else, and we'll see you next time.
Behold the madness of March.